Hello and welcome back to the Allure Sports podcast. Today we're joined by James Webb. James, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Callum. I appreciate it.
No problem. First question, straight into it. How did you get into MMA?
I didn't do very well at school. Um, no, seriously. uh, it's just something that it just materialized. It happened. It just happened. I'm not sure what the plan was, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what the plan ever was really. It was just something that materialized after a long stint like grappling and starting doing some kickboxing. It just sort of made sense to sort of go down that route. And I've gone down that route and never looked back really. So, um, yeah, the truth is, like leaving school, I didn't really have an idea what was going on. I've always been quite an athletic guy, played a lot of sport my whole life. When jiu-jitsu become sort of started to get around the hometown that I live in Colchester, that's when it started to really happen for me. Before that, I was always involved in watching I was watching like the UFC. I was watching like Anderson Silva was a big, big hero of mine. And so he's a very. I don't have any style similar. My style's not nowhere near similar to him, but he'd have been um, a big reason why I liked it and got into it. It was just because of like his showmanship more than anything. And like me myself growing up, I was like a big fan of the Matrix. So like he was like the closest to Neo, if you get me. And yeah, it just all sort of worked out the right way, really, for myself. It was never that planned, but like when I think about myself growing up and the things I liked and wanted to watch, like I used to fucking love watching Gladiator. I used to then when Troy came out, I was fucking watching Troy because I loved like that sort of gladiator type thing. And then it just sort of spiraled from there. So like I left school and I went and worked in like my dad's business, like doing a bit of roofing, but I knew that weren't for me. I could feel it wasn't for me, and I'm very pleased to see how this sort of panned out for me. Like regardless of where I'm at or where I'm going, like I've created a gym. I've got a gym which is a successful gym. I've got amateur fighters that are fighting, they win. I've got guys that compete jiu-jitsu, they win. I've got guys that are kickboxing and winning. So I'm very pleased with how things have turned out.
Yeah. Well, going on to your amateur fighters, I saw a post the other day of some of your amateur fighters in Cage Warriors Academy, and it kind of speaks for itself
Mm.
of your loyalty to Cage Warriors and also the loyalty of your fighters and your gym. So,
Yeah.
is there any plans with Cage Warriors now after this next fight? Would you planning on staying? Are you looking at other promotions or staying at home?
I'm not too sure. Like, obviously, I'll be real. Like, I know I'm a former champion. I'll be real. I don't think a lot of my results recently, like even they don't look that good in my previous contract. Like, now I've been fighting fucking high level guys. World champions and whatever else. I do particularly like fighting Cage Warriors. I see it as a big show. I see it's one of the biggest shows in the world, especially as a platform to push on to the UFC. Um, I'm very fortunate that Cage Warriors Southeast is in my hometown. Like I'm very fortunate. That's where I had a few amateur fights, and um, I'm grateful that I'm local and I've got a gym and I've got lads that I can get onto that show because it is a good amateur show. It is a good show. Um, I think it also helps then get onto the bigger show. I think it helps to push towards Cage Warriors, and I think like I feel like I've been a good company man for Cage Warriors. So I am hoping that when I have guys that turn pro, I sort of have like that in with them, and I can start pushing my guys onto to bigger shows, which I do believe in. Within the next sort of 12 months, you're going to see like at least one, maybe two of my guys potentially get that opportunity to be there. So if something else comes up, like I said, I love Cage Warriors. I've got nothing against them. I think they're a great show. You know what you're getting. You're getting tough fights. Um, People are there because they want to get to the biggest promotions in the world. As for my future, I don't really know. You know, like everything for me, for me currently, I'm taking things one fight at a time. I'm actually trying to enjoy myself. Like I've taken pressure off myself about results. Like I'm having fun. That's what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? I'm in a weight class where I'm having fun because I'm not really having to fucking cut 20 fucking kilos. Do you know what I mean? I'm just enjoying. I'm eating very well. I'm training hard, and the byproduct of what I do day in, day out, the byproduct of my job is I get to fight. Do you know what I mean? And um, I'm just going to go and enjoy that, and I'll see what happens, and we'll see what offers lie and what comes around.
Fair enough. Obviously, yeah, the weight class shift. Is it something that you're looking to make permanent, or do you see middleweight again potentially in your future?
Um, nah, middleweight's gone. Like I was fighting it 10.5 years ago at middleweight, and I can't keep. I can do it. I can. Like, I know right now where I'm at right now, currently a week out from light heavy. I know I can make middle. I know I can. It's just not. It's just not worth it. It's not worth putting that stress on my family. That's the truth. Do you know what I mean? Like I enjoy eating my food. I enjoy eating how I'm eating and being able to still spend time with my son and enjoy that instead of being fucking angry and not eating any food. And like middleweight for me was it was about 6 weeks of misery, really. Trying to train, which is misery sometimes as well. And then you've got no food and you're fucking, it was dog shit. So like, I don't plan to go back to middle at all. I think light heavyweight's a great weight for me. I sort of feel like I do my best sort of work around anywhere between 101 and 103. I'm lean, I'm agile, I'm fast, I'm strong. That's the way I've been sitting at training with heavyweights, and I don't feel like I'm weaker. I don't feel like I'm left behind. So I feel like I'm in a great spot. We're at middle though. Middle was just taking too much out of me. So unless the pay was fucking unbelievable, I just ain't doing it anymore because it's just not worth it. And it's not worth the health risks too. That's the other thing. Like I don't know. I don't know how much more my kidneys will take that shit, or the heart. You know what I mean? So I'm just not going to do that to myself anymore.
Well, with the shift in weight class, you've shifted from Team KF to now training with some of the bigger boys at like Aspinall, BJJ. So
Yeah.
obviously a lot heavier. How did you find that kind of shift in your training? And
Um. So like Team KF is that's my team. They are my team, and like the affiliation I've got between my gym and KF is almost like fucking brother sister like, or brother like, um, father son like. Let's call it that. That sounds better. Like there's like this relationship that we have, and like Chris and Tom, they're my head coaches. They are. Um, I've I've absolutely loved being able to get down to Aspinall BJJ. I've absolutely loved it. I feel like I'm very fortunate because, like I said, we've all got our respective teams, and the lads that all come in, they're from different regions and areas, and they all meet up and they train hard, and I love that. It's almost just like big guy training. Um, it's been fucking surreal. It's been an unbelievable experience. Like I've literally been training with some of the best heavyweights on the planet, and including some of the best light heavyweights. Like I've been training with like Modestus for the last fucking 7 months. And I think he's fucking brilliant. You know what I mean? Like I think we're going to see a big win from Modestus in Manchester. Like he's got a point to prove. I know he does. And he's a solid athlete, real good athlete. So are all the lads. That was the biggest thing I took from all, like Tom, Mick, Phil, Ante, all these big. They were just great athletes. And it was great to be around. It was great to know what they're doing. It was nice to see their training schedules and how they are training, knowing that I'm not doing too much dissimilar. It's just been, like I said, like I say it again, it's been surreal. Like it was a great opportunity. It's something that I don't plan on stopping doing. I'm hoping that I can keep getting up there and add some value and keep learning. I feel like we all got quite friendly with each other. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not no one's creating another team. Do you know what I mean? It's almost just like guys are just coming around and meeting up and getting the training in. And I love that. Do you know what I mean? It created a really good I think created a good friendship, and the training was just fucking brilliant. You know, the training was brilliant. And what I appreciate more than anything is my head coaches before that. Do you know what I mean? They know that that's what I should be doing. You know, like I've been around Chris a long enough time. And it was something he told me. He was like, "That's where you need to be going." Do you know what I mean? He knows that I'll train. He knows that I'll put the work in and the effort. He knows I'm not going to cut corners. So he's got that trust in me. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially when I'm fucking hundreds of miles away, it's easy to tell someone you're doing something and you might not be. He knows the person I am. He knows the character I am. He knows I'm going to work hard. So I had their full blessing. They, you know, like I said, fucking Chris and Tom have got some phenomenal pros. They've got some phenomenal pros, but it's just the bodies. Do you know what I mean? Like realistically, I think light heavy is the smallest guy I want to train with. You know, like light heavy is where I want to be training, and heavyweights. That's who I want to be getting my hands on. I don't really not not that you can't learn from the lighter guys. You can. You learn a lot. And if I wasn't in a fight camp, it'd be great to bounce over and get the training. But the fight style is so different when you're training with lighter guys. The pace is different. So you need to get used to what that bigger guy, that sort of bigger guy fighting's like, you know. And that's what it's just been for me. And it's been a serious experience. I'm going to continue to do it. It's been unbelievable. Like I said, I've been working with some of the best guys out there, and I've watched like all the boys that are on 304 like smash it, and I'm real excited for, like I said, Tom, Modestus, Mick. I feel like they're gonna clean up. You know, they're all looking fucking superb. So it's been a privilege to be there.
Very exciting opportunities, and it's exciting to see how it
Yeah,
affects your performance. Expecting a big performance out of you next week.
I'm expecting the one out of myself as well. You know, like that was another thing I probably forgot to mention. I didn't mention it. Not that I forgot, but I'll mention it because I think a lot about fighting is that mental belief. And when you're around guys that are at that level, and then you can see yourself like training with them, and you're on, I'm not saying I'm on the same level, but when you're there and you're there and you're keeping up and you're training and you're sparring and you're doing it, it gives you that belief yourself, you know. So like I expect big out of myself next week because of the lads that I've been with. I expect big out of myself.
And then Team KF itself, that was quite a big move when you joined them because you're from Colchester, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously, Team KF's in Dublin. What was the decision to move over there?
I just went over there in 2015, and like this, I feel like it was a good decision to make. Like it was looking back, like I'm very pleased with how things went. You know, like I like the relationship I've built with the guys in Ireland. I really do. I've made lifelong friends. You know, so like for me that happened purely because of like politics in the sport. But if I'm honest with you, the politics was coming from just some bum. So I feel like I might have been misguided, but it weren't a bad call because it was like, I appreciate what happened. The reason I wasn't anywhere local was because of like politics that you get within the sport. Obviously, I've been in the sport a long time and I've been around a long time to understand that that's all bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I've got no interest in the politics of things, and um, yeah, that's how I ended up there pretty much. But like, it wasn't a regret. Like I've made lifelong friends. I've become a champion. I've become a world champion with Chris and Tom. You know, like I'm forever grateful. Um, and not just that, like I said, they give me the blessing to be able to train and push myself. Like I said, they know me, they know I'm loyal, they know I'm committed. So they don't have anything to worry about. You know, they just like I said, Chris was very happy that where I was going and training. He couldn't have. He was actually like very happy. He was like, I think it's the fucking best thing for you. You know. So when you get that blessing, you know you're onto something,
Yeah. Um, and then what is your favorite fighting performance that you've had so far, and your crowning achievement of your career so far?
Well, the crown achievement would be like winning the Cage Warriors title. I think my best performance that I've shown, and when I say best performance, I'm not happy with it still, but I don't feel like I've ever really performed at my best. It's fun. I'm having a conversation with another fighter right now, just on Instagram about it, as if that's the mental fucking side of it. Do you know what I mean? That is the mental side. I think one of my best performances though was probably against Craig White. He just got to come out of the UFC. I was fighting him coming off of. I actually did have a win. I lost my title, had a win, and then was fighting Craig end of 2020. Probably one of my better performances against a veteran in the UFC. I got him out of there in about 3 minutes. But again, like if I was honest, like was it a good performance? Not really, but it looked like a good performance from the outside. I'm hoping to show a whole different performance next week to show like pretty much who I am. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I feel like I've rarely shown that in fights, and that comes down to like sometimes how you are going into the fight and your opponent, and like I said, the mental game. But I'm feeling the best I've ever felt, mentally and physically for next week. So like I said, I've put a bit of a I've put myself on a pedestal, So I'm expecting some big things for myself.
You've had some big performances in the past, though. You've beaten some very big names. Paddy McCord, who's one of them.
Yeah,
And in the first fight. So you've shown those levels, and
yeah.
to see how next Saturday goes.
I think I don't know if Paddy might be get. I don't know if he got a UFC contract because he was in the Ultimate Fighter, but I think that's the next Cage Warriors middleweight champion.
Really?
Um, I think Paddy. Yeah, I think he's very good. I've trained with him. I get along with Paddy really well. I won't I won't tell anyone why, but we do. He's a great guy, great kid, and I personally think that's the middleweight champion. Like I do think he's gonna attain that. He's a very good fighter. He looks like he's getting better, and he's a good lad. Do you know what I mean? Real good lad.
Very exciting fighter. He's very.
Very exciting fighter. Yeah, he is. Like he's got that. Like I loved even the flying knee into the rolling the ball of that. Like he is an exciting fighter. He's got it. And I wish him all the best. I think he's got a fucking big career ahead of him. And I like a lot of Irish lads. Like us, there's a lot of big Irish lads coming through. You got Omran and Team KF, and you've got Leon Hill, Adam Shelley, Ryan Shelley, Dominic Norcus, like Takamandu. Dominic, you might not know Dom yet, but you will soon. I guarantee that. Like I'm putting it out there as well. In a year's time, a lot of people are going to know who Dominic Norcus is. He's a big prospect coming out of Ireland. So yeah, they're doing all right. They're doing something right over there. They're breeding some serious fighters, and you can see that from the guys that are like sort of leading the way at the moment. So yeah, it's all good.
Would you ever make a trip up to Fight Academy Ireland? Do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I should at some point as well. I've always said that like I get along with Pat and Liam really well as well. So obviously they've got like Chris and Pat. They all get along. Liam, they all get along. So we should organise like a train at some point, and all get down there or come down to us or whatever it is. But I would, of course, I would. I'd go over and train with them. Like I think it's the best. It's the way to learn, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd be happy to go over and do that. I'd love to, and I've said the same to them. I've reached out to Paddy as well. Like I said to all my lads, because I've got a gym here. I'm like, listen, if you ever fucking want to get away, I've got a gym here. You want to come train? So it's just one of them things. Like I'd have anyone come to me, and I'd go to them. So yeah, I would make that trip. Yeah.
Enough. It's a massive gym. Like it looks amazing to see.
Oh, yeah, it is a big gym. Like I said, I haven't seen it. It is a big gym. And they're doing a good job. They're doing a really good job. So fair play to the lads.
Yeah. Um, there any opponents you'd like to face again, or any opponents you have in your head that you'd like to face in the future? Somebody you haven't fought?
Um, nah, and it's like maybe it might sound a bit of a weird one for me. Like I don't really ever focus or let my head get into that sort of like space of like facing people or thinking about who's next. I literally just try and keep everything one step at a time. So like I've been focused on the fight for a while with Yannick, and that was like almost occupying my life. I was focused on that, not seeing anything else. And then obviously that's been changed. Got a new opponent now, so um, again, it didn't really matter to us the opponent. As soon as we got a name, it was just yep, okay, because like there's a weird thing that I have like with this commitment to fight. It's like you see that through. I actually had to pull out of the fight in March. And I was devastated to pull out, but I had to pull out because I couldn't breathe through my nose. You know what I mean? I was fucked. I broke my nose and couldn't breathe through it. And I was devastated because like not because I couldn't fight on the show. I was devastated because I didn't fulfill that commitment I made to myself. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really look at what's next because I'm fighting's uncertain. I know I'm gonna win. That's how I feel about fighting next week. I will finish this guy, and I'm looking forward to the fight. Um, but what comes after that, I'm not sure. I think performance based will tell us a lot. So how well and how fast they get it done dictates what happens next. I believe. But I will be looking to go for that light heavyweight title. That will be something I'll be looking to pursue. But yeah, that's what I have my eyes on.
I don't know, very exciting. I can see you with the strap by the end of the year, maybe the start of next year. Few wins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, and then this is a little bit off topic from MMA, but you've obviously got some very noticeable tattoos. What's kind of the story behind that? We lost it.
Can you see me or not? Probably can't
Yeah, yeah,
fucking
you
see me.
just on
Anyway,
the
I had a load of tattoos done when I was young. Like you do, like when you're trying to be a young aspiring fighter, you need the tattoos to be 15% tougher, and you need them to be a little bit faster, and you need them to be able to punch harder. Um, and as I've got older, I've like gone off of them now. Like there's something I've always wanted to have done, like I spoke about previously at the beginning. Like my childhood was brought up on, especially like when I got into like later years watching like The Matrix, but then it went into like watching Gladiator and fucking Troy. Like when I like Achilles was like my fucking hero from about the age of 13 to about the age of now. You know what I'm saying? So um I really like that sort of old Gladiator. And I would have been one of them guys if I was living that many years ago. And I have Greek in me. My nan was Greek, so she used to call me a Spartan. I don't look anything fucking Greek. I look more fucking Swedish or
side.
Icelandic than Greek, but there is Greek in me. So my nan, she used to like, I would just I call we were Spartans, and there's something that stuck me. So what I'm having built on is a very, very good tattoo artist in the area who's mainly actually an artist. He's got a lot of work in London in galleries. He's actually got work next to Banksy. The guy's fucking a legend.
Yeah.
And we're building a body to just look different. When you see me come out and fight again, it will look like I'm more covered. But that's pretty much what we're building. But like at the moment, what you're seeing is not even a layer put on. Like we're just trying to start building the areas, and then he's gonna he's like I said, he's an artist, so he just says I need to put things on,
Yeah.
and then everything gets built forward. So I mean, I don't know how long's left. We might have another 5 years of this, but I'm hoping I can get to keep showing off in fights, but that is what's happening. I'm just getting a bodysuit done, which is going to be full armor. It's going to be a little bit like probably it's going to look a little bit mental because it's not just going to be armor. It's going to be like it's going to show vulnerable sides. So like inside the arms, for instance, it's all going to be like veiny and vascular looking. There'll be like sort of color in that as well, like reds and blues that will go inside, like showing the vulnerable areas. And the same that'll be on my side here. All this will be like showing vulnerable sort of areas. Do you get me? Like, and then it will have like your plated armor on your chest and your arms. So it's just showing like the weak and strong sides to the body, I guess. Um, but yeah, it's just a big cover up, but I'm excited to see it when it starts to come to life. Like I said, we're still a little bit away, so like it looks a bit alien. But in I know 18 months to 2 years, it will look like fucking something, you know. And the idea is just to look like a cyborg.
Yeah, that's sick to be fair. That's class.
So I'm excited for it, you know. But it's a long fucking time. It's a long way to go.
Fair enough. And then final question for you. What advice do you have for young fighters or people considering getting into the sport?
Um, Commit. Like when I say commit, fucking people don't understand how much this job requires of you, you know. You're not just doing one sport, you have to be doing two or three. You're doing boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, the list goes on. You've got to work on your S&C. It's a commitment, you know, and I think it's an easy thing for people to say they want to do, but I feel like it's unless you I think you for any aspiring fighter, you need to get into it. I wouldn't look at like how you're getting on for the first even year. I'd let yourself feel how you feel after a few amateur fights because you have to start putting some work in. And if you can't cut it as an amateur, you just definitely won't cut it as a pro, you know. But it does require work. It requires sacrifice. Like my brother gets married next month. He had his stag do. I've missed that. Like I've actually only ever been on one fucking stag do. Do you know what I mean? Because of how fighting has taken over my life. I miss birthday parties. Not that I give a fuck, I don't. But I miss a lot of shit because that's the sacrifice. And I think that's the difference in getting somewhere and not. You know, you need to be selfish on your own goals, you know, and if any distraction is gonna take you away from it, it's not gonna work out for you. You know, you have to be selfish, you have to put yourself first, you have to treat it like a job. And I've got a kid in my gym who's just leaving school and he treats it like a job, and it's great to see it. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't do the normal already. He's sacrificing birthdays and mum's birthdays and stuff like that because he wants to train, and that's the attitude. You know what I mean? Like nothing can come above it. It's almost like this obsession, and if you've got that obsession with it, you're gonna be great. If you don't, you've got to try and find it because it's very hard. It's very hard to get anywhere without that obsession or without that mindset of I just have to do more. And I know more isn't better sometimes, but you have to push yourself, you know. And especially when you're young and aspiring, that's the time to push yourself. Like I don't need to be doing fucking 20 sessions a week now, and I don't need to be sparring 3 times a week. But at the beginning, you do. You need to know what you're made of. You need to know that you can take a shot. You need to get resilient, you know. And it's one of them things as you're coming up through the ranks, you're going to be the nail a lot of the time, you know. You're going to be getting fucking, you know, you're not going to be losing, but you're not going to be getting the better of people, and that's the wins because if you keep showing up, one day you're going to be the hammer. Do you know what I mean? So you have to go through all that bullshit, and you have to be aware you're going to go through that shit. You have to know that you're going to have to take your licks and keep showing up, and showing up injured as well. That's another thing. Like, no, if you're really hurt, you don't. But like when guys are, my toe hurts and this hurts, shut the fuck up. Train. Do you know what I mean? Like the amount of fights I've gone into now where I have actually, do you know what? I couldn't tell you a fight I've gone into where I haven't had an injury. Do you know what I mean? You have to get over it. You have to get through it. Um, and if you can't, it's just going to be a harder road for you. Do you know what I mean? But if you can do all those things and you can put that work in, you're going to be a champion. And it doesn't mean you might not be a champion in MMA, but you can be a champion in fucking life because that sort of work ethic and that drive transfers across the board. So yeah, that's my advice.
Fair enough. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing advice, and any young fighter would be grateful to hear that. Thank you.
No problems. Anytime, man. Anytime.